And there it is, Sketch Card Hive. Hey, everybody, we are character collectors, and we are doing our first installment of movie reviews, or looking at movies, Marvel movies specifically, with collectors. Graydon, I haven't asked him if he wanted to be a part of this, but most likely I'm going to include him every time I can because he's cool. And we are going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. But first, Last Pack Magic. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm actually fresh back from the movie last night at like maybe 7 o'clock. My wife was like, "Oh, do you guys want to go? Do you want to go check out this movie?" And absolutely, I haven't seen it yet, and so it's fresh in my mind. We got to have the full like popcorn in hand, sneak in candy movie experience last night. It was great.
That's awesome. I saw it. I saw it right before everything that's been going on over here. So I just saw it um, probably like 4 or 5 days ago because I didn't want to spoil because I knew there were still like secret things to come type of thing, and I knew it was only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So I went to go see it too. So for the point of this discussion, and I'll put on comments here for people to chime in and talk because we are live. Um, Basically, we are going. Okay, so I should say this: people hate talking about movies with me. I'm just going to be upfront about it. Okay, I'm a bit of a snob.
Yeah.
I've been into film since I was into middle school. I've been around a lot, all that kind of stuff. And if you know me, then you know why. Um, so I might be a little bit of a snob. So, two warnings. One warning: spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie yet and you haven't been spoiled by anything, you live under a rock, and I'm
Dip
very
out.
impressed.
Dip out.
I'm actually jealous that you've been able to avoid any internet for the last like 4 or 5 days.
Totally.
So I'm very impressed. Second, I am very I'm not harsh on movies, but I expect a lot from a movie. I
Yeah.
expect a lot from a movie. So I know it's just entertainment, but I get very particular about certain things, especially story and things like that. So pulling, hey, what's up, buddy? Human Torch collector in the house. And so Deadpool Wolverine, we're going to chat about it. We have a couple of things. I have questions for Graydon. The first thing I'm going to ask you is this: your impression of the movie. You saw it, you went into the theater, you had your experience. Hey, Paul, what's going on? How do you feel about it?
So I loved the first movie. I didn't love the second movie. I thought the third movie was a nice in between on the two. There were a lot of parts of the movie that I really enjoyed. It was a little rushed. There was a little bit too many Deadpools and too many quick scenes where it was a lot to take in. So for me watching it as like a huge Marvel fan, it was cool that they even gave you a disclaimer in the beginning, like you nerds are gonna love this. And I was like, oh boy, put my seatbelt on. Know what I mean? I put my safety glasses on. I was like, I made sure that all my like proper paperwork was in order. Like I was ready to
That's
go.
important. Yeah.
And my wife loves Marvel movies, but isn't a huge nerd, but really enjoys the movies. So it was cool to like get to watch it with two people who are with different levels of involvement.
I like that because you get a range as you experience the movie, right? Like I've seen movies that I don't consider to have very good story, but because I saw them on an audience, it totally changed my mind about the movie. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
With
It's a better experience.
with us, you kind of have to earn our laugh, and we were laughing a lot. So like there was some great comedy in it. There was some really well timed just jabs at Fox, and I don't know if Fox is watching this, but screw you guys. And there was a good amount of well timed jokes that were my sense of humor. A little bit of Canadian humor too, actually. I gotta say, it was kind of funny.
That was pretty good. I was just about to ask. You must feel pretty represented.
There was, not only are we like polar bears and used to the snow, so there's a lot of snow scenes, but yeah, no, there was a lot of good stuff that there was a lot of positives in that movie. There were a lot of cool characters. There was a lot of I mean, I think the one to really talk about is Channing Tatum as Gambit. I've asked a couple people since then what they thought about Channing Tatum as Gambit, and the overwhelming response was glad that he got a chance to finally do it. He's not the right fit for that role, but I'm glad that we got to see the rumor come to life and get a chance to do it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about casting because that's a huge one, right?
Yeah,
that's a huge one. I think one of the most interesting things I saw said about the movie was, hoping to get a Logan style movie
Hmm.
with Wesley Snipes' as Blade. And I think that's a
That was
very
Will Smith. I'm just joking. I'm totally kidding. Sorry.
Will Smith is so active in our minds and hearts. Um, Wesley Snipes, who really Blade was really the first Marvel movie to kind of go mainstream.
Good,
Um,
excellent point.
it's a
That
super
caught me
hard sell too.
that caught me off guard when I saw Blade on there. I was like, damn, because I didn't do any research for this movie. Like
I
I
didn't
tried,
see that
of
coming.
course I watched the trailer with Sabretooth and stuff. But once I saw that, I stopped watching as much as possible. And then I got to be surprised about stuff. It was sweet.
I thought it was really great. I thought it was interesting to see him. I love seeing Elektra there. Jennifer Gardner is
That
such a
caught me off
badass.
guard too.
That was cool stuff. It was cool to see her because she's such a good. That Elektra movie, that standalone Elektra movie, that is not a bad movie. That gets overlooked a lot, and it is not terrible by any means.
I
Like,
sort of feel like Ryan Reynolds was at a football game with Taylor Swift and his wife and just went through the crowd picking celebrities and asking them to be in a Marvel movie. Like was just giving out his number in the crowd and like, hey man, do you want to make a cameo in my movie? And I'm almost
his
certain
business cards just flying everywhere.
that's right. Like, hey, did I remember you from a Marvel movie 20 years ago? Take my number, write that down. You might be, I might need you this
I
summer.
might hit you up later.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I think, so Deadpool Wolverine, in terms of a movie and story, there's a lot of things in there that are like a buddy road trip kind of movie, right? That's how Ryan sold the movie. That's how he talked about it. That's how he wanted to go through the gimmick. Finding a Wolverine, bringing him along for the ride, saving the world, his world specifically, and
Yeah.
done. Um, it's a very simple story. It's funny how you mentioned you like the first Deadpool and not the second one,
Yeah.
because I'm in the same camp as you. The second movie
We can still be
is
friends. We can so still be friends now. Thank you.
yeah, because the second one's just it's a bit of a mess, and the reason it's a mess is because the story has no real objective, right? There's no real anything to the story. Cable could be in that movie or not be in the movie, and it would make no difference whatsoever to the
And
story.
people are going to hate me for this, but the Domino character, that was no good.
I love that actress actually. She's in Atlanta, and she's actually a very solid actress, and she played
She
it
needed
straight.
20 more guns. She needed 20 more guns attached to her to be Domino.
Domino's a tough character to explain to, right?
True.
Because Domino is really tough because she is a mutant, but we ever see her depicted with guns because for a lot of artists, they don't remember her with the luck component, right? They don't understand
Yeah,
that about her. And I will say the movie did a great job of bringing that to the forefront,
it did. Yeah.
and I was
We need
impressed.
Nathan to weigh in on this.
I would love to. Nathan should be here any minute now, for his character. Um, but I thought that was interesting. But the first Deadpool movie, the reason it was a good movie in general, just like if it was about Deadpool or not Deadpool, was the fact that the character had a lot of there was a real something at stake for the character. You know what I mean? And it was this kind of twist on a superhero love story kind of situation,
It was
and
an
it made the
origin.
story. Yeah,
We got an origin story, and everybody in this Marvel world loves a good origin story.
and I think oh, there he is. He heard his name and he appeared. That's
Thank
the best thing about us character
thank you.
collectors.
Appreciate you.
You mention our name, you mention anyone's character here, and they just suddenly pop up in a live. I don't. I swear to God, it happens with everybody. It's
Dude, 100%
amazing.
true. 100% true.
William said some really okay. So Chen's accent was super weird. I
Yeah.
think yeah, it was weird, and Ryan points out it to make fun of it, and I think that was a way to kind of soften the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
The problem, though, Tatum is a great actor. He wrote.
Fantastic actor.
He's a great actor, and he wrote by himself. Well, not by himself, but he basically produced and wrote Magic Mike.
Yeah.
And I know
Fantastic movie.
it's a
Fantastic.
freaking great movie. If
Yeah.
you and I know what you're thinking. Oh, male strippers, whatever,
I would just
whatever
see
you think.
guys from work, man. Don't worry about it.
It's just a good movie. It's a
Yeah.
very well written script, and it's very much an indie film, not a mainstream film. It's good stuff. It's just a very good movie in general. And he put that out there. He wrote that. That was from his experiences. Like that is super impressive to me that he was able to pull that movie together because that's a hard script to write, and he did a great job.
No, absolutely. Something I want to point out too that my wife has pointed out to me is that Marvel people are way too hard on movies. We are way too critical of things. So I also want to point out that these opinions are like some of these opinions are just my opinions, but from like a film standpoint, I think that everybody in this movie did an excellent job.
Oh
When
yeah.
my criticisms of movies are usually just out of storyline as far as the storyline that I'm accustomed to. But everybody in this film, like there wasn't a weak portion of this film. There was a story. It was well filmed. It was well acted. Hugh Jackman, like
I honestly, without him, the selling point, the emotional selling point of the movie would not have been there.
you know what? If he did, yeah, you're 100%
There are
right.
two scenes: the one in the car,
Yeah,
and what's the other scene? Where was that? Where did that take place? It wasn't in the sewer.
the
Was it a
bus
little bit earlier?
was crazy.
That's it.
The bus
So there's
is incredibly well executed. No pun intended.
there's two really there's really two beautiful scenes that Hugh Jackman portrays all the emotion in the film, and that kind of carries the anchor of the film all
Yeah.
the way through. And it's super impressive um, how he did that. So with Deadpool and Wolverine, right? What was the most exciting cameo for you?
Wow. I really think everyone's expecting me to say Sabretooth or Tyler Mane, but if you blinked too hard, you missed that one. Why did that not get drawn out into a better fight scene? I mean, so they had Ryan Reynolds pulling swords out of him, being like, people have waited for this scene for so long and we're going to give it to them. That scene was 10 seconds long. And, I saw that whole scene in a movie trailer. I didn't have to go looking for that. I saw that whole scene in a movie trailer. And so that was not my favorite cameo to partially answer your question. I was super happy to see Tyler Mane in it because I think Tyler Mane is
You look good. Yeah.
amazing Sabretooth. I'm glad that they picked that variation of him to be in that whatever the hell it was called. My favorite cameo, man, I was pretty happy to see Gambit. I thought of our buddy Matt, and lots of other Gambit fans out there, Dustin. And I think that I was glad to see Channing Tatum there, but I also think they nailed the costume. The Gambit costume was really well put together. Really,
It was
really,
impressive.
yeah,
It was an impressive costume. I thought they did really well on him. And Channing Tatum is not a bad Gambit. The type of Gambit I can see in interviews when he talks about Gambit and the Gambit movie he wanted to make. He really wanted to make Gambit Gambit. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Real
yeah,
Bayou, real Cajun, like not just he really wanted like a Logan-esque Gambit kind of movie. Like he wanted to do it differently. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because when you think about Gambit, everyone's been begging for a screen accurate Gambit for years. I remember watching X-Men 2, hoping Gambit was somewhere to be found. You know what
That's
I mean? I
that's right.
remember Colossus coming into the room and the gunshots and he turned silver. Like that was crazy awesome. Like I remember all those big moments.
Yeah,
Um, but Gambit has kind of a cartoonish kind of outfit. In the movie, they sell it really well because truthfully, they sell Wolverine's costume really well. Best moment in the movie, hands down,
yeah. The
was
getting a yellow
when it happens.
Wolverine was a big win. Was a
It
big
was crazy cool.
having the metal where his claws actually come out instead of them just coming out of gloves. Spectacular. There were, yeah, I know there were so many cameos. I'm still piecing together what all of them were. Who was your favorite cameo? I want to spin the question on you.
Well, what I was going to say was the one of the best cameos I haven't seen anybody like talk about was that the original Fantastic Four car is in there.
Cool.
No one really called that. Like it's there.
Yeah,
Like it's at the front of the line. They don't put too much attention on it, but you see it in a couple of scenes where you see the Fantastic Four hover, where like the four people would sit, like from the cartoons. It was amazing, or like from the books.
yeah,
But it was awesome. But flame on, man, Human Torch. That was
yeah.
such a cool moment. I was not expecting it at all. I did not see, and it was all there in the trailer of 20th Century Fox. We knew what the theme was going to be. and where all the characters coming from. But I had no idea they were going to go there. I thought that was great.
No, there were some cameos that weren't great. There were some cameos that were really really good. Wasn't crazy about the Juggernaut one. Wasn't wild about the Juggernaut. And I understand that these are all variants, right? Like they're just grabbing variants from multiverses and hucking them in here. So like that's not all I'm saying is that I liked the other Juggernauts. I appreciated those ones more, and this variant wasn't for me, but still cool it was there.
It was cool. There, my favorite character in the whole movie, no joke, other than Wolverine, Deadpool, and X-23, who is
Oh,
just such a kick-ass actress and actor.
she was
Period.
her and Hugh Jackman. Yeah, we can get to that after, but they both were they were spectacular actors, spectacular acting.
Yeah, I think mine was Cassandra Nova. I thought she was killer. That hand thing was the best visual effects I've seen from Marvel in a long time.
Yeah,
That blew me away.
that was really really good.
That totally blew me away.
Yeah, there was I'm not an actor, so I am in no position to be saying this, but there were some really good performances in this. Ryan Reynolds isn't a great actor. He's funny. He can write a cool movie. But like Ryan Reynolds is the same character in every movie, from Free Guy to Van Wilder to all of them. Everywhere in between, it's the same type of humor. But that made it easier to digest the amazing performances in the movie because you got the consistency from Ryan Reynolds as just one-liners and laughter, which he nailed. You got to see how like Hugh Jackman displayed every emotion you can have in a movie. X-23 like carrying the story with Logan there, and just like just the responses to his downness and all that. I mean, really good. And Jennifer Gardner, she picked up the role where it left off. It's like they
What
snapped
a
their
beast.
and went right back into character, right? Like it was
She blew me away with that. Like she just the presence, the everything. She walks onto this. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow, that was good stuff. Because she was an Alias, and she's a good actress. Period. But like, and Ryan Reynolds is kind of like a Jack Nicholson, right?
oh,
Jack Nicholson.
don't you dare.
No, no, no. Hear me out. Jack Nicholson has Jack Nicholson roles,
Yeah,
but he also has One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
that's right.
You see what I mean?
I see what you
So
got. That.
I've seen Ryan Reynolds do a great role in a great movie. I'm trying to remember what the movie was. It wasn't Buried.
I bet you have a word. We'll wait.
Well, I'll look it up right now. I'll IMDb you right now, mother.
Jack Nicholson is a sensitive topic for me because Jack Nicholson's in my top 3. Jack Nicholson is like Nicholson, Brando, and I'm gonna just leave that there. Pacino are my 3 like.
Oh, you're in that realm.
Those are like my goats. Those are my like. That is what acting is. That is it. So I'm always so hesitant to compare anyone to them, with the exception of having a conversation about those 3 in comparison to each other.
What you mean.
I do know what you're saying. There are actors who
They
play
hit it right? They hit a thing. Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I have no idea what he's doing being Doctor Doom, but whatever. But he's in a lot of great other movies. Like, man, if you've seen Tropic Thunder, like that is acting, man.
That is a phenomenal movie. And it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my whole life. But the movie for Robert Downey Jr., from my taste, that I really love, you ever seen Home from the Holidays? Home for the Holidays?
I haven't, no.
That's a great movie. Home for the Holidays. If you've ever seen it, it's a beautiful film. It's good stuff. You want to see acting, you watch that movie, and you're like, oh, it's good stuff. It's really good. That's a really good film. But there are actors that have those roles. Like Danny DeVito is a phenomenal actor. But you can see Danny DeVito be Danny DeVito sometimes. You know what I mean? Like you just hit kind of like a celebrity persona, right? And you can see characters do that. I feel like Ryan Reynolds will fall into that camp here and there sometimes. But yeah, Cassandra Nova, I thought she was good. And I thought the guy who was the head of TVA from Succession, who's also in a great funny movie, Death at a Funeral. Do not watch the American version one. Trash. Death at a Funeral, British version is the way to go. But he's really great in this too, I thought.
Some of the things I noticed that were takeaways from the Deadpool movie that I really appreciated and like were easily my favorite part of the movies. Were the homages to the comic covers. Wolverine on the X with the red skulls, like
Amazing.
almost fell out of my chair when I saw that.
When I saw Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, I was like, no! I freaked
There,
out.
there was just, I mean, you have to have a level of understanding and involvement in all of this to hit that hard. And in the beginning, when they say you nerds are gonna love this, like that's a bold statement. You know what I
To
mean?
be
Because
like, if you're wrong on that, like, could you imagine?
we're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
we're
like,
so
you know,
finicky, and look at us having a live video picking apart some movie we weren't even a part of. But yeah, that nailed it. That was 100% super cool to see. And I don't know, man, seeing those comic covers come to life, I almost want to see like a short film of just my favorite comic covers now and see what they do
I
with it.
mean, man, I think what blew me away, my favorite comic cover kind of moment for Wolverine was the brown suit against Hulk. Like, seeing him in that suit was perfect. Like,
Yeah,
it was so, like, there's something about seeing an image in your head, especially when you're reading comics, and comics are visual, right? So you're seeing the image on the page, but you translate it some way, right? And to see that cinematically being translated well is
yeah.
not is not an easy thing to do, right? There's a lot of hurdles you have to go through to get that shot to look very close. Like, just having Wolverine do the claw thing and seeing Hulk in the reflection, that's actually a very hard positioning camera move, because when you draw, you know this, when you draw something, you're not drawing something in a three-dimensional space. You're working in perspective, but you're not making it
That's
three-dimensional.
the, when you watch a movie like this, they don't movies like this rely on effects. They rely on the Shazam, as like I want to call it. They rely a lot on that. And when you have a previous storyline that gets integrated into that, for me, that's the exciting part. I can all the effects at the beginning about like how all they did all the names and all that as it was flying through body parts and all that was really really cool. But I'm more so was drawn to this by the from the storyline. Marvel movies and their CGI in the modern era, it's a little over the top for me. Like when you look at those original X-Men movies, I'm sorry, they were fantastic. They were absolutely
You know what? And
art.
this,
There's very little CGI, very very little CGI.
it's a lot of practical effects. And I will say this, the thing that I think people lose out on is that, when you watch the original Star Wars films or Indiana Jones or any of that stuff, it's the practical effects that give the movie its sense of tone and theme, right? It gives its like packaging, right? It's the packaging container, right? Without that stuff, it doesn't ring true to that. Like them making Grogu a practical effect and using puppetry for that when they do, and doing the ships and models sometimes, it doesn't age the film. It basically it puts an atmosphere to the film that can never be duplicated again. And
Right.
that's the handmade factor of it. And I think Marvel's missing out a lot by not having props on camera. Like Wolverine's helmet, it's probably partly real, partly digital. You know what I mean? It's not completely there. It's being kind of like touched up in digital format. And that's because of the wide eyes, that's because certain things. And the Deadpool mask is actually practical. Like the wide eyes there, they have removable eye socket moments, like all
Right.
that stuff does exist. But like I remember when John Favreau was talking about Iron Man 1 and doing the effects for that. And they did a practical suit and had him in the suit and did a whole 9 yards. And then eventually they got rid of the suit by Iron Man 3 and did an actual full digi suit thing. So when you look at Avengers Endgame or Infinity Wars, it doesn't look good
Mm.
because it looks like a skin tight digital bodysuit, because that's what it is, really. Like,
We're
I
in agreement.
remember seeing, yeah,
Did anybody out there in the comments got to let me know if you caught the crazy cameo? Did you guys see Taylor Swift? Me neither. Good luck with all your Dazzler PMGs and comics.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. That made me really happy. I was pretty
Thrilled.
happy to see that. Yeah. I
That
was
was
like,
the
and all the
first thing.
Dazzler cards. Yeah.
That was the first thing my wife mentioned when we left the theater. She was like, "There's no Taylor Swift."
Score. It was awesome. I think, and Taylor Swift would be a great Dazzler. I think Taylor Swift's very cool. But the fact that they burned so many people with that, it was really bad. Like people were buying Dazzler stuff, artificial, inflating it, sitting on it. There are people with 30, 50, 100 copies of Dazzler now, and who's a great character and a great comic book. But it's actually pretty awesome to see people get burned so heavily with that. I have to say,
I
I
think
got
that
to
the
get Doom on here.
world experienced it more than the Marvel card collecting world. The comic inflation on a lot of the covers that we had just talked about, on a lot of the character selections. I mean, the only books I think that are going to hold true to anything here are going to be your Deadpool covers, your first appearance, now your New Mutants, and
Well, I mean, the Deadpool cover original art is up for
yeah,
7.5 million. That's
yeah.
a pretty
How
interesting.
can how convenient?
Yeah, shocking that it's up at this time.
Yeah, just
Um,
what a
but it's
coincidence.
fascinating. It is fascinating to see that up there. It is. I did want to shout out Hermit here. Go check out Hermit's Instagram. He's doing a charity for a friend who is going through a really rough time right now. Go check it out. Do a donation. There's tons of giveaways. He's giving away stuff. There's a bunch of information you need to go check out. Please don't be a stranger. We're all part of this hobby. Please go to Hermit
Yeah.
Instagram and go check it out. And I'll get the Instagram name for you just so I have it on screen so you guys have it. But Hermit's just the nicest person, and he's such a great addition to the hobby. Hermit.style. And I'm going to put his Instagram on here. Sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother.
No, this is a good one. I'll make sure I share that too on the old on the story there. And Herman, I want to say your wife wanted T Swift in it so badly, buddy. Half of us got to go to this movie with our wives because of the promise that Taylor Swift might have been in it. So we are all there with you, buddy.
Harry Taylor is going to be Sabretooth in the next movie. Go, Graydon. Go.
You have made enough jokes on these streams. You just got to keep them coming, buddy. You are you got a future in stand-up comedy. You.
So check out hermit.style. Check it out. And not only is this a great giveaway, which is right here, but it's an amazing giveaway. But this and that's insane. But also, if you're into Dragon Ball Z, he's the guy.
Cool.
So go check him out. Cool stuff. Please check it out. Okay.
Sorry, I gotta just say one thing too. Soberface, who was just commenting there, like I just had a stream with Michael Salters.
Oh yeah.
Hermit was in there, and man, I don't know where you guys come up with this stuff, but you guys are funny. Like you guys are why I like doing lives and having the chat open. Like you guys are the reason. It's awesome.
The chat is fun. I always have like a fun time with the chat.
Yeah. People in our age group all seem to be so immature, and I love it. It's great.
It's good. It's really great because I don't feel so like on the outs. I'm like, oh, immaturity, I'm in. Let's go. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Yeah. So a couple of more thoughts about the movie, and then we'll start wrapping this up. Coming up on 27 minutes on 30. Deadpool Wolverine, right? Let's give kind of like our final thoughts about this stuff, right? In terms of a Marvel movie, right? Did it fit the criteria of giving you the goosebumps when you saw Wolverine's mask?
Nailed it.
100%.
Yeah. Full marks, as we say up here in Canada.
Full marks. And we're going to do that here. We're going to say full marks.
Yeah.
Second question is, did Deadpool Wolverine deliver on the promise of action and character cameos?
It over delivered on cameos. There was, there was a lot of cameos. So I'm not going to complain about them. There were a lot of them, and it was cool. I was really pumped to see Gambit and some other characters in there, Sabretooth and all of that. The movie definitely delivered. It was a touch violent. It was a touch. I know that some people are going to just roll over about that. Like Logan was the top level of Marvel violence that I can deal with. And then Deadpool was like, hold my beer. And for me, I'm not a big violent movie person. I'm not a video game person and all that. It was a bit much. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a little bit much. What are your thoughts about that?
I always think, when Disney bought Marvel, right? People are like, oh, Marvel's going to be PG. It's going to be Disney Princess, right? It's a very crude understanding of Disney kind of what Disney does with films, right? And what it does with their IPs. Disney protects its IPs. The fact that Marvel is owned by Disney, the fact that Star Wars is with Disney, pretty much tells me that these pieces of property will always be around,
Right.
period.
Right.
I'm not worried about any of these characters vanishing from pulp culture.
Yeah.
They're not. They'll go quiet, they'll retire, they'll pop back in. But the fact that Disney owns them is a great reassurance that these characters' longevity
Right.
exist.
Yeah.
So when you have that much violence, and I think they gave it to audiences because Marvel was in this in what people call a rut. I disagree. Internals is one of the better Marvel movies out there. Fight me. I'm ready for that. Logan
Come at me, bro.
is come at me, bro. Logan is one of the best movies Marvel's ever put out. Period.
100%.
Um,
Not up for debate, by the way. That's not.
Moon Knight is a wonderful deep dive into some psychological things, and there's a very touching story at the core if you've seen the whole thing. Captain Falcon or Winter Soldier, whatever that show was, I was so surprised by that.
Yeah.
There's a little storyline in there with him and the old man that he meets, the first Secret Soldier. I forget his name. That was baller. I had no idea they were going to go there. WandaVision was too long, but it was still very heartfelt. It was a great exploration of guilt. There's some really great things on Disney Plus, and they're trying to explore certain things there. Deadpool Wolverine was definitely a love letter to the fans to
Yeah.
try to guarantee good face and to show, hey, we can get there. Blah 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 blah. I think the violence is too much and I think the cussing was kind of stupid because what ends up happening is that these characters are hard to take serious. And
Oh,
if Hugh Jackman wasn't a good enough actor and he was cussing saying all the time, and I cuss, anybody who knows me, I don't cuss on the channel. I try not to, but I'm the one everybody worries about when they bring me on a live. Let me be honest with you. I'll say that right here now. I am the sailor of the group, without a doubt. Okay. I might even give Graydon a run for his money on cussing, but I'm telling you right now, what ends up happening is the character feels real, not authentic.
right.
And there's a difference between those two words. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Very different. So I agree with you. I think it was attached too much, and I think it was because they wanted the comedic effect. They think that's what brands Deadpool's the violence. It does, but it has to be thematically make sense. Otherwise, it's just gratuitous violence for no reason.
So something I want to say, like I mentioned that, like I'm not a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, so I want to give Ryan Reynolds a compliment in all of this. Not that he's looking for it, but there is a serious problem in the Marvel world where our age group dominates the interest group in Marvel, and we have to draw other age groups into it. Otherwise, we're going to just end up with this thing that shrinks and shrinks and shrinks until it disappears. And Ryan Reynolds does a fantastic job of appealing to a broader audience, and not only a broader audience in scale, but also in age. So in with having these movies be as popular as they are, hopefully, and I think it's true because it just grossed a ton of money. You're seeing other people come into it and become interested in it. And the reason I bring up the amount of violence in the movie is because I would hate for them to be trying to make a movie appealing to our age group and simultaneously off-putting a younger generation that's like, you know what? That's a bit much. Maybe I'm not into Marvel. Maybe I'm not into these movies because they're a little bit much. That's such a. I know you guys might be rolling your eyes at me right now, and that's totally fine.
I think
But
you're right.
it's just a point. We have this problem in cards where there are not young people coming into it because no one cares about your $900 Marvel Masterpiece boxes. There's fewer people going into comics. There's fewer people entering any of the hobbies. The movies are our chance to correct that, and Ryan Reynolds is the person that can do that and has. And like, tip my hat to you, my friend.
Oh, dude. I mean, you're not going to find anybody who loves the character more and takes him serious. Other than Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man,
Yeah,
and Hugh Jackman with Logan. I will say Marvel does a great job of having actors do certain things for the roles and the characters that no one else can do.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like Ryan Reynolds takes on that Deadpool character for better or for worse. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Period. Like he's making bank on it. He's not a saint 100%, but I do think he respects the character. And I think not only does he respect the character, but he gave a huge amount of respect towards Hugh Jackman's character with Wolverine and
big
a
time.
lot of other characters.
Big,
And I think the reason I will say this, the way that that's correct and that is factual is what happens in the credits, where they do that little love letter to what Fox has produced.
I swear to God, I almost teared up. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
It's
I kept my
I did
freaking.
too. No, I did too. I saw Surfer in there, and I almost wept. Like I thought it was so touching because
Not to
those
mention that was my
movies.
grad song.
I think that was everybody's grad song.
100%. I was waiting for Sarah
No, that's
McLachlan
great.
thing. I will remember you at the end, but yeah, no, that was sorry. It was really, really good. It was really, really good.
It was touching. It was very well edited. Whoever did that is a freaking rock star. Yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
that gave the vibe. It was the last one.
And that was nice. I think they did a great job of sealing it, being like, "Hey, this was an era where we couldn't get to certain characters. This is our love letter. It's over. It's done. Now we're going to include some storylines that people have been excited about."
Now the cameo. Sorry, no, we're trying to finish this up. You're trying to get out of here.
No, take your time. I don't care.
The one cameo that shocked me that person wasn't there wasn't Taylor Swift. I was just joking around about that, guys. Patrick Stewart. I would have bet money. I would have bet money that he was going to appear at some point in there.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I think one of the worst movies and one of the most disrespectful movies to Marvel characters was Madness. Doctor Strange's Madness. 100%. That was super cheesy. That was really gross. Like the way they kill all the characters and stuff like that, it wasn't funny. It was just a slap in the face. Patrick Stewart getting his head twisted off like for 5 seconds, like that wasn't horror. That was cheap. That was just bad. That was bad.
I was surprised to not see a Charles Xavier appearance. I thought I would have bet money on him being in there. But.
Well, he was talked about a lot though, being Cassandra Nova's like basically her brother.
No, for sure. I mean, there was.
But I could have sworn I would have seen him. You're right.
Yeah, there was. There was a couple of other people I thought that were going to be in it too. But I understand when you're working with the budget that they constantly joked about in that movie that that was the case. I really hope that they call her quits. I really hope that this doesn't turn into the next one being a money grab and everybody wants to be in it, and all of a sudden we have, you know what I mean. I hope that doesn't happen.
I think now is the time to talk about story. You know what I mean? I think you need really good stories to come to the forefront because I don't think people realize that Iron Man was a commercial success, but Iron Man was a very good story. Period.
True.
It was a great story, and not only was it a good story, but it was a great conversational piece moving from what superhero movies were doing in the past to what they started doing at that point. Because the fact that he claims I am Iron Man, that in superhero movies in the past, The Shadow, The Phantom, all these movies that are real superhero movies, Blade, all this stuff, that taking on the identity, that's always a private thing, right? Batman's like, I'm Batman. You know what I mean? Like there's all that kind of stuff. But the fact that he does that publicly is such a huge switch for the genre. And I don't think people realize how strong that is for a movie to do that, especially in a superhero genre, to do something different. Deadpool 1 did that, and then it lost a lot of that brave kind of genre-defined moments.
We were going to do this. We were going to do this on Instagram, talk about this movie review. I'm glad we did it live on the Sketch Card Hive channel. Everyone watching it, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button. I want to have a Robert Downey Jr. As Dr. Doom meltdown on Instagram at some point. We'll do that on the next one. You and me will have to do that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I'm excited to see what. Yeah,
this was a good chat about the Deadpool movie. I hope everybody enjoyed it because I really enjoyed it. And in the comments, let me know and let Fausto know what your favorite comic cover kind of homage was in there. I would love to know. I would really love to know down there, guys. Let me know. I'll respond to your comments.
And which one would you love to see? So your first one is like, which one were you the biggest fan of? And the second was like, which one you wanted to see?
Yeah, totally.
That'd be sick. All right, everybody, I'll let you guys go here. Thank you for joining. Catch this live. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you. We'll try to do some more movie reviews, movies from the past, movies from the future. What? We have access to movies to the future? We do. We definitely do. But we will be having all kinds of discussion about Marvel movies. So be ready. Be here for that. I'm going to try to get Don't You Even Worry on here, get Doom on here because he's a movie buff, and we'll get a few other people joining us too. So I'll catch you all later. Bye, everybody.
Peace.